All right, welcome back. Another episode of our NRL SuperCoach podcast. Now, as you can see, I am all alone. Mitch is not here, which is quite sad. I don't really know what to do with myself here. But we'll give it a crack, so bear with me. Obviously, couldn't handle the fact that I vice-captain Ponga this week. So, looking good for me. Doesn't like his vice-captains, but it's working out for me so far. So, that might be why he's not here. I don't know. But yeah, as you can see, new studio setup, if you will. I've got Hindy over here. We've got, if you look behind me, I've actually got exclusive access to, that's the NRL preseason challenge cup, straight from the Parramatta Leagues Club. So there you go. A bit of an exclusive here at the Rough Rigs. But let's get on to my team anyway. So we started off strong. As I said, vice-captain Ponga, which is really good. So we'll touch through the Vegas games and some talking points there. We'll get through some cheapies as well. So we'll go through all the team lists. The most exciting part of the year, really, the team list. So I'm excited to get stuck into that, and we'll go through kind of who we can trade in ahead of this round one. So for all the new players out there, you can still make as many trades as you want, basically. So as long as your players haven't played, so all your Vegas players, you can't move. Obviously, they've played. You're stuck with them now. But anyone else, you've got unlimited trades to trade them, switch them around. So, which is very, very handy. So yes, you're not locked into any players apart from the ones that have obviously played, and that goes throughout the whole week. So you can change your players that are playing on Sunday right up until kickoff then. So that's something to keep in mind. But yes, join our league. It's getting quite full. 81 people in it at the moment. If you haven't already joined, now is the time. The league code 630796, the code down the bottom as well, the bottom of the screen if you're watching on YouTube. But yeah, that code again, 630796. Come and join our league. Free jersey up for grubs for the winner. So, not just playing for nothing here. It's more than pride. Pride is good, and you're getting more than that. So, you can't complain. I'm free to enter. So, what are you waiting for? I'm on top of the league at the moment, actually. So, there you go. Jersey's coming my way, potentially. Who knows? That'll be good. But yeah, I've got 624 at the moment. So, hopefully, that continues. It continues to keep in first position of the league. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? For old Handsy for Dillbags. Let's go through my team, though, at the moment. We'll go through just the players that I've got that have played. And actually, I'll go through my whole team because there's been a few changes since my last episode. I had to make some couple of moves. Obviously, Ponga's in is the big one for me. That wasn't in on my last episode. That was kind of a last-minute change. I had Fuller there. Obviously, it's been announced now that he's not going to play, essentially, at the fullback role. So, I was looking for someone. I didn't really want to go Ponga, but he just, I don't know, there's something about him. He just keeps reeling me back in, and I went for him, and I'm glad I did at this stage. But ask me in 4 weeks' time when he busts out another 30 and looks like he's limping around on one leg, my mind might change. But at the moment, I'm pretty happy with him. So still at Grant. Smith I've got at the moment. Not sure what to do with him, but we'll touch on Smith in a moment when we go through team lists. Trey Mooney, he did really well. 94 points for him. Very, very good. Obviously scored that try. Got a line break off that try too, which is handy. But even without that, I think he was kind of looking at 60 to 65 points. Now, the score is good. The output is good. A little bit concerned with his minutes. Didn't play huge minutes. I think he played about 50 minutes. So would like to kind of get that up around 55, 60 minutes, ideally. And that was with a couple of things not going their way. Obviously, the 5'8", his name eludes me for a moment there, but Fletcher Sharp, he obviously got injured. So that kind of changed things as well. Phoenix Crossland had to play 80 minutes at number 9. So whether that changes things, I don't know. Like, is there potential for him to get even less minutes than kind of 50 minutes? I hope not, but, it's on the cards, I guess. It's something to keep an eye on. It's not panic stations yet, but it's just one to watch. Just keep an eye out. If you're not a Trey Mooney owner, it's probably not like, yes, 94 is obviously a huge score, but there's there's reasons just to kind of wait and see what happens. Obviously, prices don't change for another week. You've got 2 weeks to kind of wait and see. So, could go either way, that one. Any other change? I've got Lukey, 95. I was actually considering selling him just before kickoff. I stuck with him, and I'm happy I did. 80 minutes is a big thing for me. Like, I wasn't really expecting him to get minutes. The more I thought about it, the more I thought he wouldn't. But he ended up doing so. If he can have that 80-minute role, we know he's got the upside. And now with the 80 minutes, he'll have that base too. So hopefully that's something that Todd Payton can kind of keep going for him. Because if that's the case, at 400 and something K, he's almost a must-have. Now I brought in a little cheapie here in Howe. Front row, second row duel as well. So we'll touch on him in a bit when we talk about team lists, but I won't talk about him too much now. Played Greg Marju, 73 points for him. Stephen Crichton obviously brought him in on the show last week, actually, if you were watching. 68 for him. I'm not too happy with that, to be honest. Like, I'll take the 68 points for sure. That was with obviously the field goal at the end. That was obviously with the try assist, and he played an extra 10 minutes. So he played 90 minutes, obviously, with that game going to extra time. I would have liked a bit more than 68 points with all that involvement. So, without that, he's kind of looking at a 40-ish, mid-40 score, which, isn't great, especially with the goal kicking. I'd like a little bit more from Stephen, but, we'll watch and see, I guess. Again, it's one of those ones, if you don't have him, you're certainly not rushing out to buy him, but he's nothing like concerning at this point. So it's just, again, another one of those ones. Just watch and see. Who else? Tom Chester was outstanding, actually. I didn't play him. I changed my mind, and I went for the Titans centre, Famani. I probably butchered it, but yeah, so I've put the reserve on him instead of Chester, which, look, we'll wait and see whether that pays dividends or not. But yeah, 62 in basically base. Like, there was no real major attacking stats for Chester, so that's really good to see. Hopefully he can remain with that spot. If he can, then, going forward, he's definitely kind of one that you've got to try and fit in. Setu 262 with a try. Went off with those cramps in about 65 minutes. So played limited minutes than what he was meant to, or what you'd normally see from him. Did score that try, which probably does inflate the score a bit, but, he's a winger, so he's going to get those tries. But yeah, 62, I'm pretty happy with. You can't complain with that from your rookie winger. It looks like he's probably going to make a fair bit of money, so he's a good one to definitely have. If you don't have him, try and bring him in, I guess, in the next couple of weeks before those first prize rises changes in round 3. And then, the big one for me, Kalen Ponga, 116 points for him. Was just involved in absolutely everything, so he's definitely one to keep an eye on. Another couple of honourable mentions as well. I just want to talk on the Couchman brothers. They were really, really good too. Toby Couchman, obviously, 72 points is outstanding with his dual position. But again, the thing with him, and one to keep an eye on, same with Ryan Couchman, who was outstanding for 200 and something K, 71 points. You're laughing if you brought him in, and he's definitely someone that looks at this stage to be kind of a must-have to get in for that price rise in round 3. But just one to keep an eye on in the coming week, or the next week, I guess, because they don't play this week. But for round 2, just some minutes, because there was no Little, so he'll come in and join that kind of middle rotation. You would think he plays a little bit of lock, or he'll play hooker and Damien Cook will play lock, one or the other. So that's going to take away some minutes from that forward rotation. And also, obviously, the injury to, the cramps to Setu 2. And there was also, I think it was, Sully was out with a HIA at one point as well for 15 minutes or so. So that really impacted the bench. Obviously, they weren't able to get their fourth forward on, and they had that winger coming on instead. So all the forwards had to play more minutes, and of course it was a 90-minute game instead of an 80-minute game. So look, you're not going to see 70s every week from those two, but hey, Ryan Couchman in particular, if he can get 50, that's still outstanding for his price. Toby Couchman, he's probably one that, again, he's in that boat of just wait and see, isn't he? He's like, if you've got him, you're very happy with 72 points, but if you don't have him, you're not too stressed either. He's not someone that you've seen that and you're like, I have to get him in. He could well be, don't get me wrong, but at this point, he's just more of a kind of a wait and watch for another week and just get another week of information and see how that bench rotation looks and how his minutes, whether he gets similar minutes or less. So another one just to wait and watch. Preston was really good, 97 points. Him and Galvin look like they've got a really good combination. Carraz as well, 99 points for him with that try. He's someone that I was keen on in the preseason. He kind of just fell out of my team just because of his price, really. He was really expensive and I wanted to spend that money elsewhere. But, geez, if you've started with him, you're very happy, and he's someone that, look, based on what I've seen in that first game, again, it's a 90-minute game, but, hey, a lot of that was just pure base. Like, you know, he's getting 60, 70 points in base. You're very, very, like, that's almost must-have. If your winger is getting that much base and power, and then throw in the tries, because he can, obviously, he's a try scorer. So those tries are going to keep coming. The Bulldogs, you know, whether they find their attack or not, remains to be seen. But the point is that left edge is going to be their target left, you would think, with Crichton, Carraz, and Kickout all looked, especially Kickout. Kickout was outstanding on that left-hand side. So you think that he's going to see more ball and more attacking options for him. So, yeah, he's definitely one to keep an eye on, and one that probably out of all the games that, or of those two games in Vegas, he's the one that I'm looking at probably the most that I don't have as someone that I'm looking to target, I think, for that round 3, apart from like the cheapies in Couchman and the like. But yeah, he's the one gun that I'm thinking that, you know, I probably need to kind of find a way to get him in sooner rather than later. But yes, that was a quick little review, I guess, on Vegas. Not too much to talk about. There was Haywood. He did all right, 50 points in base in those 90 minutes. So, look, you're happy with that, I guess, if you've got him for 300 and something K, but you know, you're not thrilled with that either. Marnie, 52 points, kind of in a similar boat, really. Did play the full 80 minutes, which was the big thing for me with Sonny Luke on the bench. I was concerned, but then he didn't play Sonny Luke at all. He played no minutes, so Marnie played the 80. Whether that changes, whether that was impacted as well with Drinkwater's injury. So obviously Drinkwater got injured, and then I forget who was on the bench, but it was a outside back on the bench, and he had to come on, and Purdue moved to fullback. So whether that kind of basically took Sonny Luke's interchange position, which, yeah, these are all things, I guess, that we're all getting used to with a 6-man bench that we've more so this year than ever, I think, is so valuable for that extra week before we make any drastic decisions to our team. You know, with the 1 week before, you had a fair idea on bench rotations and things like that, but this year with the 6-man bench, you just don't know, I guess, what the week-to-week makeup is going to be, what that week-to-week bench rotation is going to look like, what those minutes are going to look like on a weekly basis. So another week of information is vital for these players. So, yeah, I would probably urge on the side of caution this year more than ever to really kind of hold those trades in coming into next week. But again, we can discuss all that next week as well in much more detail. But let's get on to this round. The round 1 team list, they have been named 6 games. What I'll do, I'll go through pretty much all the players and go through which ones, I guess, are catching my eye in terms of SuperCoach, which ones I don't really have, I guess, much faith in it from a SuperCoach perspective. It probably won't be something that I'll do every week, but yeah, definitely the first week, go through every player and give you guys, I guess, the option of each player and what I think of them. So let's do it. The Storm and the Eels first game. The mighty Parramatta Eels up against the Storm. The Zach Lomax Cup, people are calling it. It'll be interesting. very interesting. I wonder where Lomax will be watching this, whether he will be watching it at all. Probably not. He probably really wouldn't care, would he? But anyway, let's go through the Storm. I can't speak at the moment. Jesus. The Storm team list. So we've got Farlongo. He gets that fullback position, which will be exciting to see how he goes. He's in my team, and I'm very excited. I've never really, there's been, I guess, a fair few people out there that don't like the Farlongo play, and I get why. Doesn't quite have the base, but he's just so exciting. Like, just watching him play, he's just incredible. Now, there was a photo as well coming out of him actually goal kicking. Now, I don't know how much truth there is to that, whether he actually goal kicks. I doubt it. Meany's a great goal kicker, so... but if something was to happen to Meany, maybe he's next in line. So who knows? Because, if he's goal kicking, wow, that raises his stakes a lot. But yeah, I can just see him. He's just so involved. Like he's just built for line breaks and tackle bust. Not a big bloke, but agile and just so elusive, as Blocker would say. He's elusive. So yeah, I've got him in my side, and I've never really considered selling him, to be honest. I'm pretty happy with that pick. Will Warbrick's an interesting one as well, especially with that Lomax news. Obviously, Coates is out fairly long term with his injury, and Warbrick, he's got decent base. Now we've looked at him a couple of episodes ago. I think our first episode. And he's not a bad option. He's not, he hasn't set the world on fire or anything like that. But where is he? Warbrick. Did he even play? He mustn't have played a game last year, or am I blind? There he is. Yeah, so in the two games he played last year, 40 points and 43 points. Yeah, look, he's probably not for me. He's got, again, a 2-game sample size. Probably not. We're probably better looking at 2024. So in the 2024 season, did okay without being anything great. Scored an average of 53. Look, yeah, had a huge score in that final round of 2024, 171. Wow. But yeah, won't be getting that every week. The floor's okay, as I said, without being outstanding. The base is kind of 30-ish, high 20s, you'd kind of expect. So he's not really one for me, but there is value there. At his price at the moment, not too bad, but yeah, not for me. As I said, there's value there, but I don't think the upside is really there. And I guess there is still that question mark around Lomax. I know he was caught today at Rugby Australia, but there's every chance that, they change their mind and the Storm offer up a different player and Parramatta accept. You just don't know what's going on. Not that it really affects him, I guess, but, if they do have Lomax, it probably does take away, I guess, the appeal of his edge. They probably go more towards Lomax's way. I don't know, but yeah, not for me. I just don't think the base is there for me if I was to think about it. But yeah, there is a little bit of value there, but not enough for my liking. Jack Howarth, probably not. Look, he just doesn't excite me really. He's someone that probably doesn't quite have the floor that I would like for someone. He's not super cheap either. He's 457k, so it's just really awkwardly priced. There's probably not that much value there. It doesn't really interest me too much there. Now, Moses Leo, he is someone that I definitely could look at it. I don't think I'll bring him this week, but he's a genuine cheapie option for sure. 235k. He looks kind of set on that spot. Again, who knows what's happening with Lomax. He's probably the one that would make way if he does come to Melbourne, but it looks all but from what people are saying, from what Craig Bellamy's come out and said, they look pretty set that that's kind of it. They've thrown their offers on the table and they're not going to get accepted. So, so I think Leo has probably got, that spot locked in for at least a little while. He's probably going to he will make some money. He's someone that I'm not going to go this week, I don't think, but he's definitely one for round 3 that I can have a look at and, maybe find a way to bring him in somehow, depending on how he goes. He's, just a real wait and see for me. I guess in hindsight, who knows as well, Tommy Chester, he might be out of the side in round 3, so he could be an easy downgrade. Chester to Leo could be the most popular trade in 2 weeks' time. He's one to keep an eye on, but one to kind of, I've got in my side for Marnie, and I'm happy to kind of keep him over Leo if I had to choose between which I am. I'm having to choose between the two. I would prefer Farmani, I think. Nick Meaney on the edge is interesting. Obviously, he should be goal kicking. To be honest, I don't think his scores really changed too much, whether he's in the wing or the centres. Yeah, especially with the point scoring change, he's gonna get tries instead of try assists. I don't think it matters too much for him. He's still going to get through his work. It might, increase a little bit on the wing. But I don't think there's that much value there. Maybe a little bit. Well, there is value there because he's goal kicking. That he wasn't last year because obviously Pappenhausen is out. He kicked for a little bit, but he should have that full time. Yeah. He's one to look at. He's definitely in pod territory. But I don't think let's have a look. How much is he? 598k. He's just a bit too much, I think, from what, he's got a decent floor with the goal kicking. It's not a bad option. He's the type of player that's probably not going to let you down. But I can't see him having huge scores. It's not horrible, actually. The more I look at him, he's got those big scores in 165 last year against North Queensland. Certainly not the worst option with his goal kicking. Okay. It's got me thinking. Let me have a look. How did he go last year? Yeah, so a base of 29, plus you add the goal kicking, certainly helps. He's on the edge, so he probably scores more tries on the wing than he does in the centres, if that's something that he's going to stay in that position. I'll tell you what, I wasn't that keen on him about 10 seconds ago, but it's not a bad option, Nick Meaney. Nice little pod. I couldn't fit him into my side, but if I'm looking at, Crichton and Meaney, and I'm comparing the pair, there's not much between them. If anything, based on what I've seen from Crichton this week, I'd probably have Meaney slightly ahead. Very similar, basically the same price, that 600k mark. Yeah. Definitely one to watch. Yeah, I don't mind that. If you don't have a Stephen Crichton, you've got someone like I don't know. I guess anyone that you're umming and ahhing about and whether you want to play him or not, Nick Meaney could be one to go to. Nice little pod. The halves, Cameron Munster at number 6 is... Look, he's the best 5'8" option probably at the moment, especially now that Fletcher Sharp's gone down. I think he's the best option. If you can find a way to fit him in, then fit him in. I don't see any issues with that. I've seen a few teams with Munster, and I wouldn't recommend anyone not going Munster. If you've got him, I wouldn't talk you out of it. He's just the price for me. I prefer Cody Walker at his value. Cameron Munster doesn't offer any value, but he offers you that safety that you just know you can put him in your side and he's going to score well. He's not going to let you down. Jerome Hughes at 7. I'm not that keen on him. I was kind of a little bit keen on him at the start of the year, but I just think with Eli Katoa gone, like how many of his points last year and the last 2 years have been from him passing Eli Katoa the ball and him, doing something freakish or kicking it to him and he's just jumping on top. Like he was one of the best under the high ball as a second rower. He was a genuine threat. So you take that away from Jerome Hughes. He doesn't have the ceiling as a lot of other he doesn't have the highest floor of a lot of halves because he doesn't have the goal kicking. So if he's not getting those attacking stats, he's not scoring very well. And I just think there's going to be a little, there's going to be a down. He's going to go downhill a little bit anyway based on the new scoring system, I think. And then you take away Eli Katoa, I think that's going to hamper him a fair bit. It's a new combination as well. It's, a new combination to get used to. So him and Joe Chan, look, for me, we'll talk about him in a sec, but I don't know. He's a solid player. He'll get through his work. He's a Craig Bellamy type player, but he's not an attacking threat. I think if you're in opposition, if you're going up against Joe Chan, he's not really keeping you up at night. Whereas someone like an Eli Katoa, you're probably having nightmares. So that's my thoughts there. I would steer clear of Jerome Hughes, to be honest. I think he's going to lose a fair bit of money in this early part of the season. He's one maybe you could pick up cheap, especially over the Origin period when you probably don't have Cleary. But yeah, for now I'm steering well clear. Stefano Utoikamanu is not a bad option. Finished the year really well. Finished the year really well. 515k. Last year, he had, to finish the year, 50, 61, 70, 50, 64, 82, 88. So finished really strong after that Origin period. Started really slowly. I think I had him at the start of the year last year from memory, and he really didn't do well. 34, 36, and 38 to start the year. But he came home really well. The minutes didn't really change. It was just his output towards that back half of the year. So no Nelson, as we said, no Eli Katoa, so there's probably minutes there for him. He's kind of really got to step up and have that enforcer role this year. So, we've seen at the back half of last year when he really wanted to step up and kind of make his presence felt, whether that was confidence coming out of Origin or whether it was just kind of Craig Bellamy giving him a bit of a kick up the arse. I don't know, but it certainly made an impact to his score and his output. So, whether that continues this year, you would have to imagine it would. There's a little bit of value there for Stefano. I'm not going to go there because my front row is pretty stacked. I've got May on the bench still waiting for his bye this week, and I'm pretty set on him, to be honest. I'm really excited for next week and being able to get May into my side and have that May and Haas combo in the front row where not many people will. So I'm pretty set on that. And yeah, Stefano, He's one that I would consider. Probably him and Kolomatangi would be the two that I would consider for that front row if I didn't have May. Harry Grant, look, I think you've just got to get him in, to be honest. If you don't have him, the only other alternative for mine is Brayley as that, gun hooking position. I actually do quite like Brayley. The stats, we spoke about it in a previous episode. His stats were unbelievable that back end of the season when he got a directive to kind of run the ball, be more involved instead of just kind of doing the hard work and just doing the runs and the tackles. He actually was a creative and attacking threat, and his scores just went through the roof because of that. Like we look at the start, the back end of last year, 65, 84, 71, 63, 81, 59, 108, 117, 48 against the Storm, but then 97, 102, like huge scores. So he's undervalued at 654k. If he can keep that up, it's just whether or not he goes back to how he was at the start of the year, whether there's more of a defensive focus from Craig Fitzgibbon. at the start of the year, just be like, just get through your sets, hold the ball, don't try anything. And then, back at the end of the year when you can play a bit more expansive, maybe that is the game plan for the Sharks. I don't know. But yeah, if he plays the way he finished the year, then he's undervalued, and we might be talking round 3. You've got to tear your side apart to get Brayley in because he's that good. But yeah, I've got Grant at the moment just because his pedigree, like he's done it for years. We know what we can get from him. There's no question mark, I guess, over what kind of what he's going to be. We know what he's going to be. We know he's going to get through the tackles. And with the change in the point scoring, he was one of the biggest. Brayley didn't change too much for some reason, but Grant, really, really rose kind of, 8 points a game or something like that with just tackles. He loves a third man in, just that, that legs tackle around the legs to get them down as a third man. So he's going to get those points for that he didn't get last year. So yeah, out of the two, I've got Grant over Brayley, a little bit cheaper as well. So there's money to be made. I think Grant is undervalued too. And yeah, if you went with Marnie as your starting hooker, like I guess that's the other way you could go. If you just go cheap in your hooker and try and use that money elsewhere, that's definitely an option. But yeah, for me, I want to have one of either Grant or Brayley, I think, for me. Josh King, probably not. Look, I'm not going to talk about everyone. I've already rambled on for a lot, and you're probably getting bored. So I'll try and get through this a little bit quicker. But geez, just Teamless Tuesday, it just gets me excited. I could talk for 3 hours about this. I probably will, to be honest, but no one will be listening if I do that. Joe Chan, I do want to talk about him. Spoke about him a little bit. He just doesn't have the attack for mine. Now, it's not a huge sample size, but he played 2 minutes. 2 minutes. He played 2 games last year as a starting edge role. 2 games. One in the 11 jersey, one in the 12 jersey for 39 points and 44 points. All in base. Not really any attack to speak of for Joe Chan, which has kind of been consistent with his career. Not for me. I've still got Lissardi. Now, the job security for him doesn't seem to be as good, but I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think Sean Bloor plays for a while. He's been a bit of a naughty boy. He's been up to some bad things in the off-field scenarios. So, yeah, look, Lissardi could have that spot long-term. I know Trent Lalero, however you say his name, he'll be coming back, but you'd think he'd come back to play lock in 2 weeks' time. I believe it's 2 week suspension. And then Alec McDonald, I think, would be the one that drops out. And I think Lissardi probably keeps that spot over Bloor. I think so. And I really like what I see from Lissardi. When he's played, I really like him. I think he's good. He's got that attack in him. He's got the body that's just made for SuperCoach. He can tackle break. He can line break. Close to the line, you can see him like just crashing over. I just prefer, I'm just going off basically, I prefer Lissardi over Chan, and I'm just going to back my eye and just back the better player in my eyes. Because if he starts on fire and Joe Chan doesn't really do anything, then, even if that 1 second row spot is under question, they could easily put Lissardi in the number 11 and Joe Chan drops out, which, I think could be the option, really. If I was coaching the side, that's what I'd be doing. But, Craig Bellamy, he's a lot better a coach than me, so I'm not trying to take his job. He can take that, that's for sure. But yeah, that's it. Alec McDonald, again, as we spoke about, Trent Lalero is coming back, so it wouldn't go near him. And then the bench, Wishart, Clark, Tui Kamika, David Moali. I can't even speak again. Jesus. It's a long day. It's late. But we'll get through it together. Anyway, that's it for the Storm. We'll go on to the Eels. Iongi. He's an interesting one. I think Mitch actually has Iongi, which, good on him. I don't like it, to be honest. I think he's probably at his peak value. I don't think there's money to be made there. I don't think he's underpriced. He looks good. Don't get me wrong. Parramatta have a really tough start to the year. They play Melbourne, they play Brisbane, they play Penrith. So a really tough start. I wouldn't be going him personally. But yeah, I can see the merit there. If you look at Parramatta and you think the Parramatta are going to be much improved this year, with Moses in the team, obviously at the start of the year, then Iongi's going to play a big part of it. But obviously, again, the lack of points to fullbacks, could be a concern in terms of his value. So I don't think you're picking him for value. I don't think you're picking him thinking that he's going to make him money, because I think he's actually going to lose money. I think you're picking him off vibes, really. And that's a very Mitch thing to do. He picks off vibes, and I think you're picking him off vibes and just thinking that, you know what, Para's going to have a good year. Iongi's going to kill it this year. And if that's your case, hey, go for it. Back yourself. But yeah, statistically, if you're looking at the stats, not for me. I'm very analytical. I like my stats and I like going off what they feel. Mitch is very vibey and it's great, but the yin and the yang, but no yang here today. So just the yin. Bailey Simonson, he earns that wing spot with Josh Adokar out for a couple of weeks. Just kind of makes anyone in this back line really hard to go for, just because you know that, except for Panasini, I guess, but he's probably not relevant anyway. But yeah, someone like a Bryant Kelly, I'd be keen on, but I just think that, Josh Adokar's, I think 3 to 4 weeks he's back. And then he probably drops out of the side because Sean Russell was outstanding in the preseason. So I think he's probably done enough to hold his spot when the Fox returns. But speaking of Sean Russell, you don't know, so you can't really go for him if you want to see an ultra pod move and go Russell. I don't mind it, but there's risk involved with the job security there. Jonah Pezzett, I think everyone's got him by now. If you don't, what are you doing? Really? Unless you're going for 2-gun 5'8" spots, which I don't know why you would, because there's not that many good options in 5'8" to be going for 2 of them. Yeah, I think you've just got to get him in. I don't think he's going to make huge money. I don't think he's going to absolutely come in and kill it. I don't plan on playing him unless Walker's out. But look, he might average 35, 40, and I will take that. So, yeah, he did kick, which was interesting in one of the trials when Moses went off. So that could be something to keep an eye out if something does happen to Moses and Pezzett gets the goal kicking, plus gets the 7 jersey, so he's probably going to be more involved then all of a sudden he's a playable option. But at the moment with Mitch in the side, I think he's going to take a back seat and just keep his game really simple. Get the odd try assist here or there. He'll get the odd game where he might get 60 points, and then he'll get games where he gets 30 points. So I think that's kind of what you need to expect from Pezzett. Moses, we spoke about him a couple of weeks ago as well. I'm not that keen on Moses. I don't think Parramatta are going to improve as much as what people are saying, to be honest, as much as I've got Hindy over here next to me. I don't know. I don't see huge improvement from the get-go. Maybe, sure, in 10 weeks' time, we might be looking at the ladder and it's a completely different story than what I might think. But I don't think they're all of a sudden going to go from, missing the 8 to all of a sudden they're premiership, I guess, contenders. Obviously, so much does depend on Moses, but even Moses at his best, he'll have the odd game where he'll get 120 points. He'll probably score 150 against the Tigers because he always just puts on a clinic against the Tigers, his former club. But he'll play against the Broncos and score 30 points. He's just so rocks and diamonds, even with the goal kicking. It's not enough for me to kind of want to get him. And he's going to play a lot of first receiver, I think. I think he's just going to be playing both sides of the ruck. I think he's, with the scoring updates, I don't think he's going to get as many as what he did last year with his try assists, because he's going to pass and create that space on the outside, and I think the centres will get a lot of the try assists. So, not for me, Moses. He just doesn't have the base. He has very little base at all. So, yeah, I want someone there that I can rely on, that I know is a captaincy option every week. The goal kicks, which he does, but someone like a Cleary or someone like a Walker who, just has a little bit more base is what I'd prefer. Jermaine Hopgood at 8 is an option at prop for sure. I just don't know the minutes. Like, if I'm looking at this bench and I'm looking at they've brought in Jack DeBellin, I don't know. I really don't know, and it makes me hard. Does make me hard, but it makes it hard to pick any of these Eels forwards. Jermaine Hopgood, Junior Paulo. I love Junior, but wouldn't be getting him. Jack Williams, does he play on the edge? Like, he was playing edge and middle, so, does someone like a Matt Doorey, does he come on the edge, and then does Jack Williams go in to prop, and does Hopgood miss out and go? Like, there's so many moving parts to this Parramatta team, and I don't know what their bench will look like, or I don't know what their rotation will look like. So I'm steering clear of any of them. So Hopgood, Riley Smith. You wouldn't go Riley Smith anyway with Talon De Silva on the bench, but Junior Paulo, Jack Williams, Katonga. Katonga's the only one maybe that I'm looking at and thinking, maybe he could play 80 minutes on an edge and just be great. Playing outside of Moses, which is very, very nice. I believe he would be. But I think he's actually fairly expensive because he did pretty well last year. If I can spell his name. Kotonga. 537k. So is that awkward price? Yeah, probably not. In 80-minute games, 85 points, 79 points, 44 points, 67. I'll tell you what, 67, 78, 43, 19 points in 80 minutes. So, yeah, could be a sneaky little pod, Katonga. But again, job security, who knows? There's so many edge, like there's Talangi as well, who could come in at any point. Matt Doorey, he looked really good in the trial, so who knows? Does he get an edge role at some point in the season? I don't know. There's too much going on for me. I'm not going near any of them. So yeah, we got through one game. All right, we'll try and speed things along. The Warriors and the Roosters, Chans, Nickel, Clockstar at fullback, Dallin, Watini, Zalesniak, Alan Leotao, I'm going to butcher these, I'm so sorry. Latua, Pompey, Tuivasa-Sheck. Tuivasa-Sheck's an interesting one. How much is he? Tuivasa-Sheck, 670k. Nah, not for me. Not for that price. Harris Tavita, Tanner Boyd, not really anything here that's catching my eyes. James Fisher Harris, probably not for me. Wade Egan, no. Just look, he could go all right, Egan, but again, minutes, probably not. They've got hooker cover on the bench, and he's always a chance of a concussion, Wade Egan, so you just can't really trust him. Jackson Ford starting at prop could be a semi-decent shout. 580k. Nah, he's pretty much priced at what he's going to get. Maybe a little bit of value there, but not much, I don't think. Yeah. And you've got... I don't think there's too many kind of big forwards on the bench, like we'll get to in a sec. There's Kate Will, but Jacob Laban I do want to talk about. He's been named to start on the edge. Bottom dollar. So a lot of people looking at him as a cheapie option. I'm not convinced because they've got Lika Halasima on the bench. He is going to play fairly decent minutes on the edge, you would have to think. Like, he's not just coming on for 20 minutes, he's coming on for 50 minutes plus. What happens to Laban then? Is he just going to come on and play the first 30 minutes and then go to the bench? like, what's his role in this team? I don't know. I don't know what the minutes are. I know he's starting on the edge and it looks good with the number 12 on his back, but is that going to translate to big minutes? I don't know. So I'm not going him. I don't think the job security is there. Easily 2 weeks' time, he could be out of the side and Halasima could be starting. So not for me. Aaron Clark, 13. Look, he's a good solid option. He's priced at what he's going to get. If you want kind of just a no-nonsense player that's just going to punch out 60, 70 points in base, sure. But yeah, there's not too much excitement there for me. But yeah, the big talking point, I guess, is that second row rotation with Laban and Halasima, how that's going to work. And yeah, I can't see Halasima playing any less than 50 minutes. And, those minutes are going to have to come from someone. So Capewell's going to play, you would think he's going to play decent minutes. Aaron Clark played decent minutes all year last year. So you'd think that, by process of elimination, Laban's the one that probably gets that limited minutes. For the Roosters, James Tedesco, he is, if you want to start with a gun fullback, you could go him. I'm not that keen on him, to be honest, with obviously Sam Walker back this year from the very start. Daly Cherry Evans into this side as well. I think Tedesco doesn't need to play the role that he has last year where he just kind of had to do everything. He was first receiver, second receiver, third receiver. He was doing it all, setting up tries, scoring them. I don't think he has to do that this year. I think he can kind of take a back seat and let Sam Walker steer the ship, give the ball to Daly Cherry Evans and let him do his thing rather than having to try and do it all by himself, which I think he did for a lot of last year and why he scored so well. SuperCoach-wise, he was just getting the ball, breaking 10 tackles, running sideways because he was trying to do everything. I don't think he's going to have to do that this year, so I think his output's going to be a little bit less. And again, with those try scoring or try assist changes in the scoring system, he's going to not benefit from that at all. So I wouldn't go to Tedesco. He's probably one that I'll look at if he misses Origin around that time. But yeah, to start the season, I think he's going to lose a fair bit of money, so I'm happy to let him through to the keeper for the time being. Daniel Tupou's a pretty good option if you want a pod. He's got the bases there. If you have a look how he finished last year, very, very good. Tupou, 630k, so he's on the pricey side. But yeah, scores to finish the year: 80, 44, 90, 107, 60, 64, 62, 99, 58. Yeah, very good. Even at the start of the season, to be honest, except for the first few rounds. But yeah, once Sam Walker came back into that side, his output rose incredibly. He was scoring tries a lot more often. At the start of the year, he had a bit of a try-scoring drought, to be honest. So yeah, he's a nice little pod to get as well, Daniel Tupou. Again, another one just to kind of keep an eye on, have a look, see how he goes. And if you're after that kind of pod option in your centre wing, someone that can go large, yeah, he could be your guy. Billy Smith, I think I speak for most people that say I don't want another year of Billy Smith in my side because he's going to get injured at some point. Like, I feel for the kid. Obviously a talented player, but you bring him in, he gets injured. So I'm steering well clear of Billy Smith. Did have a fair run last year, actually. He did stay pretty injury-free, but didn't really have the scores to back it up. I think came into the side last year and scored like back-to-back 60s or something like that, and everyone brought him in and then didn't do much since. So, Robert Toya, he was a really good option last year, really good cheapie from last year. I think he's probably priced at what he's going to score. I had some good scores from Toya last year. I seem to kind of pick him up in the right times. I play him on the right weeks, rather. But yeah, got really good floor. Toya, it's not a bad option, 572k. He does have that upside. I remember the one big score that he scored, 148. I played him for that week. But yeah, a lot of 40s. He's safe. He's kind of reliable. He's going to get you 40 points, but there's no value there. I think there are better options for that price, but, not a bad pod to look at. Mark Nwanganitawaze. Not for me. Just because of how expensive he is. Look, he could very well come out and kill it, but at $735K, it's a big risk. And if he doesn't get those try assists, if they're going to go left more and not go his side with obviously Walker back, then he's not someone that I really want to bring in, and then he'll get 30s. He doesn't quite have the higher base or the work rate of someone like a Daniel I prefer Tupou. At a cheaper price, I much prefer Tupou over Nwanganitawaze, to be honest. Daly Cherry Evans, I don't think he's someone that I would be looking at in that 5-8 role. He's someone that maybe you could, I guess, down the track. But, I've seen enough from the trial games to think that Sam Walker's going to be steering the ship, and Cherry Evans, he's going to chime in and get the odd try assist here and there, but I don't think he's going to be running the show. I don't think he's going to be doing being involved as what he was at Manly. So therefore, his output's not going to be as high. Nafua White. Now, I think he's another one that Mitch might have. 584K. I think he's probably one of those players that's probably priced at what he's going to do. Had to play huge minutes some games last year too. Whether that's going to keep up this year, whether he's going to play those huge minutes again, time will tell. With the 6 forward bench, it's just so hard to know what that bench rotation is going to look like. But I don't know. I don't think there's much value there. Now, the hooker, I'm going to butcher his name. Lulu, I'm going to go with. It's wrong, but I'm going with it. He is starting the hooker position for the Roosters. He's not a bad option, I tell you. He's not a bad option, but I just don't think he doesn't have the job security. Reece Robson's, I think he's only out for a few weeks. If he was out for 6 weeks, I'd really look at going Brandon Smith to him. I think I would, but with only, who knows, you might bring him in and 2 weeks later, Robertson's back and he's out of the side. So, I wouldn't be going him personally. I don't think he's going to get enough time to make any money. Lindsay Collins, no. Angus Crichton, I've got him. I think he's going to be in for a big year. I think with Sam Walker back, he's going to be running off Sam Walker. I think there could be a mountain of tries for Angus Crichton. Had a really down year last year. Still based good, but just didn't have really any attack. So I think that'll improve this year. It can only go up, and I'm excited for that. Nat Butcher, Blake Steep, probably not worth looking at, to be honest. Connor Watson off the bench there. They've really, I thought that he might play hooker when Reece Robson went down, but they look to kind of really play him through the middle, I think, this year. So probably not one to look at. And then, the bench, Wong, Butcher, Lenu, Ramsey, and Ponga. Okay. Moving on, the Broncos and the Panthers. Reece Walsh. He's a very nervous one to not have. He makes me nervous. So if you've got him, it's going to be a lot more enjoyable watching Brisbane games, because I'm going to be watching Brisbane games with one eye, with not owning Walsh. Like, he's just what he can do and how quickly he can do it. Like in the World Cup Club Challenge, he didn't do too much, to be honest. But then in that last 20-minute period, he just turns it on. He probably scores 100 points in 15 minutes. Like, it's insane how quickly he can score his points and how little time he needs to just rack up huge monster scores. In saying that, I'm not going him. I just think to start the year, defenses are going to be a lot more solid. Brisbane are going to find it hard, I think, to put on points straight away from the outset. I'm happy to kind of wait 5 or 6 weeks. Hopefully, because he is very expensive, Reece Walsh. He's 800 and something K. So hopefully he price takes a little bit of a hit, and then come maybe round 5 or 6, I can pick him up for 100k less. That's my hope, but it can all go pear-shaped. Bruce Walsh can come out in the first 2 weeks, score 120, 130, and if you don't have him, you're left behind. So it's one of those ones that, it could make or break your season, but time will tell. Karapani, no, I wouldn't be looking at him. Katoni Staggs, look, always has decent base, but I think his price pretty much where he's at. 638k is probably a little bit much than what I'd be willing to pay. However, Shibasaki, friend of the show, 647k. It's very pricey, but you could definitely get him for, I think, look, the way he finished the year, he just looked like he was getting better and better every game. So there's going to be low scores. He does have, a 30 or a 40 in him, but his work rate is there, and his attacking threat, that combination that he's got with Reece Walsh now, looks incredible. So he is one that, look, I'm not going to get, I can't find a way into my team, but, I do like him as an option if you were to go to Shibasaki. Dean Mariner, no. Ezra Mam, I don't like. I've seen a few teams with Ezra Mam. I don't like it. He's never really been SuperCoach relevant. Was last year, actually. He did pretty well. But I think that's more of an outlier than anything. He just doesn't have the base. He came in, the second half of the season when Brisbane were flying. I don't think it's going to be that easy for him at the start of the year, and I don't think he's going to score that well. Adam Reynolds, I wouldn't touch. With the injury history and everything else, does he even goal kick? That's the other thing with Reece Walsh. If he can end up goal kicking, wow, he'd be almost a must. If we can have confirmation before kickoff that he's the goal kicker now, that's a game changer. But we'll have to wait and see. Corey Jensen, no. Corey Pags, no. Payne Haas, I think everyone's kind of got him. He's just a workhorse. Played 80 minutes in the World Club Challenge. He was just phenomenal. So, any concerns of them kind of easing him into the season is gone. They're just going to absolutely play him for as many minutes as he possibly can. So, if you've got him, he's a definite captaincy option every week as well, especially at the start of the season. Jack Jawetsky, no. Jordan Ricky. How much is he? 544k. Look, I don't trust him. He needs the attack, and I don't know how much attack Brisbane are going to get. They're going to score some tries, obviously, but I don't think they're going to be putting huge monster scores on every team this year like they did at the back end of last year. Paddy Carrigan, he is a big winner from the change of scores. Definitely someone that you could go for if you want kind of that safe option. He's 636k. There's a bit of value there. I guess pretty similar to someone like a Yo. Just a big winner from the scoring changes. There's probably, 7 or 8 points of value there. I don't hate the pick at all. It's just a bit boring. And I've got Yo instead. So I don't really want 2 boring plays. I've got 1. That's enough for me. Let's go on to the Panthers. Dylan Edwards, probably not for me. Not a very exciting option. Again, just for me, Dylan Edwards is relevant when Cleary's out. He does more. He's more involved, and he goal kicks. Every time Nathan Cleary's out, I'm looking at Dylan Edwards. But when Nathan Cleary's in the team, I don't really have any interest of Dylan Edwards. Paul Elamotti, no, I don't think so. He had a really good final series, scored a number of tries, but at 643k, I don't think so. That's kind of where he's priced at. Isaac Tungo. He is one of the biggest winners actually out of the scoring changes, just because of the shape that Penrith play. He's so often doing that try assist it would be Alamotti, I would imagine, this year. 503k, so he's pretty good priced. look, if you're a big believer in, I guess, reading into the try scoring stats, then he's almost a must-have. I'm not reading into him that much. I think, like, yes, he's a big winner in that, but I don't know. It's only going off one season of data. They've still got to get the try assist, right? It's not like they're guaranteed. It's not like tackles. Tackles is something that I would read into the try scoring stats because they're on average making 6 or 7 tackles or 8 or 9 tackles every game extra. And that's something that, like, they're doing every week. You're not getting a number of try assists every week. Yes, you can average it out, sure, but the try assist ones are kind of just dependent on, whether they get the try assist. You can't say, someone's going to score 20 tries because they did last year when this season they could score 6. Like, it's a lot hard to kind of predict that kind of thing for me. So I'm not looking too much into that. But yeah, if you look at those stats and you think that, because they've scored however many tries last year, that they'll go that side again and they'll score that many tries, then yeah, you could definitely go him because there's a huge amount of value there. But yeah, not for me. But yeah, certainly good price. And he's been a gun kind of off the pass. So it's not outlandish to think that, he could be 700k easily. We've seen in that price before. Yeah, I guess it just depends what you think of the Panthers, whether you think that they're going to target Tungo's side. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Casey McLean, I don't think so. A lot of teams have Casey McLean. I'm not really interested in him. Yeah, I just don't think he kind of... I don't know. He's a frustrating one to watch to me. I forget who was outside, but someone was outside of him last year and he would not pass the ball. So these try assist stats to the centers probably doesn't affect him because he doesn't pass it to the winger. Finished the year quite well, but again, Panthers were flying at the back end of the year. He's an option. He's an option for sure. But yeah, 653k, so there's no value there. I'm looking to fill my centre wing spots with players that I think have value or at least high base. Casey McLean has decent base, but probably not as high. Like, he's not getting you 50 points in base. He's getting you maybe high 30s or early 40s. Brian To'o, I did have him the start of the season. I've gone off him. Obviously, I traded him last week actually to Crichton. But yeah, I just think there's probably there's a little bit of value there. Maybe he is so cheap. Well, not so cheap, but for what we know of him, 598k is very cheap for To'o. Didn't score a lot of tries last year, so you'd expect them to pick up a little bit this year. Yeah, he's just super solid, really. I can't see him losing money on that. But again, their draw as well, Penrith's draw at the start of the season isn't great. They have by far the toughest draw. I'm not reading too much into draws at the early point of the season because you just don't know. Like, Newcastle look like world beaters over in Vegas. And, if you're going off draws from last year, you'd have the Cowboys as that's a really good matchup for the Cowboys. But, if you're loading up on Cowboys players, all of a sudden they doesn't really translate into this year as you'd expect. So my kind of general rule of thumb is to not read too much into the draw for the first 5 or 6 rounds until you work out kind of what are the good teams. Like, there's different players in every side now. So they've had a whole preseason to kind of build combinations. Some teams have new coaches. Like, they're completely different sides to what we've seen last year. So kind of try and approach it with a fresh set of eyes, and then reassess round 5 or round 6 of who actually has a good draw, who doesn't, and then you can kind of play based on matchups and trade players in based on who has good draws and things like that. But yeah, early on in the season, I try and steer clear on trading players in or out based on draws. Blaze Talangi, not a bad little pod, but yeah, I don't know. Again, doesn't really have the pace. Gets through a lot of tackles because everyone just runs at him. But yeah, not for me. Nathan Cleary, I think a lot of people aren't starting with him. I think he's the best player in SuperCoach. Again, I'm not reading too much into the tough draw for the Panthers. I think, he's class. He's going to score points. Doesn't matter who it's against. He's goal kicking. He's a gun. He's proven it for seasons and seasons that he's one of the best players in SuperCoach. So I'm very happy to start with him over the likes of Walker or Hines. I just think he's going to be better. Pay up the little bit of extra money and just get the best. So Moses Leota, no. Mitch Kenny, Sandon Smith. Interesting to see Scott Sorensen and Luke Garner are the second rows, and Papali'i's on the bench. So that's unfortunate, I guess, if anyone was looking at Papali'i. You probably wouldn't go him off the bench. Obviously played that last year. He still played decent minutes, but you'd much rather him playing starting edge. And then Isaiah Yeo, we spoke about him a little bit. He's just going to get through his work. A huge winner from the stats. He's going to get extra tackles there. And he was already underpriced a little bit as well. I thought he had quite a quieter season, played limited minutes in a few games due to Origin and restings and all of that. So he was already kind of a couple of points underpriced. Now with the try scoring, you're probably looking at 10 points of value there. So hopefully he's averaging up around, the high 60s to low 70s mark. That's it for those two sides. Let's get on to the Saturday games, the Sharks and the Titans. This is dragging on a little bit, but I do apologise. I'll do my best to quicken things up. Will Kennedy, no. Sione Katoa, probably not. Jesse Ramian, no. Or Jesse Ramian, actually, had a really poor year last year. 502, barely scored a try. $502,000. He has been pretty SuperCoach relevant in the past, but yeah, there's a few lower scores there, kind of high 30s, early 40s. I probably wouldn't go that, but yeah, again, he's another one that you could kind of watch, see how he does, whether he looks good. Didn't look good last year, I must admit, but who knows? Maybe he comes out this year and kills it. So he has been relevant in the past, so he's one to keep an eye on. KL Iro, yeah, Mitch is very high on him. He's captaining him this week, so he loves Iro. I like him. I don't have him in my side just because he scored so many tries last year, so many. He went on that big try scoring run. Does he do it again? I don't see it, honestly, and my thoughts are the same with Herbie as well. I just don't think, it was a record-breaking run. You're not going to see that every year. How can you outdo a record-breaking run? Surely they're not going to score that many tries. It very much could. He's got the talent, but the other thing is with the Sharks, do they go the left or do they go more right? Now, obviously no Mulatalo. Are they targeting that edge as much, or are they going to be more inclined to go to Katoa's wing? That's another consideration. So yeah, for me, I'm not touching Iro, but look, if you got him and you think that he's going to kind of repeat what he does last year, and he very well could, then you're looking at him as a genuine keeper option in the centre that's maybe even a little bit underpriced. So yeah, Braden Trindle, Stone Street, I wouldn't go near. There's a bit of job security with someone else. I don't know who, but there's another player for the Sharks that's coming back from an injury. Don't know, but it's someone. Yeah, so there's a bit of job security question mark over Stone Street. Braden Trindle at number 6. I'm not going near Trindle. No, I'm not even going to talk about it. Nico Hines at 7. Not a horrible option. I'm just worried about the Hines and Trindle thing again. Last year, Hines had games where he killed it, and then games where he kind of let Trindle do everything and, didn't score that great. He's got huge base. He's going to get through the work. He's probably got, just as good, if not better base than Nathan Cleary. But I don't know if he has the same attack. And yeah, I'd prefer Cleary over the two. If you can find a way to get both in, hey, you're doing well. But yeah, I'd much prefer Cleary over the Hines. Adam Fanua-Blake, probably not for me. I think I don't think he's going to play huge minutes at the start of the year. Maybe he's someone again around Origin. Well, actually, he's probably playing Origin this year. So yeah, I wouldn't look at him. Blake Brayley, we actually spoke about when we were talking about Grant. I think he's a really good option. If you can get him in. Hazelton, no. Nikora, probably not. Just doesn't have the base. I want, at the start of the year when defenses are tight and it's hard to score, you want those players that have those base to rely on and, yes, have a great attacking upside, but you need that base as well. So Nikora doesn't really, he's going to get you a lot of 30s, and I don't really want to be involved in that. Billy Burns, no. Jesse Colquhoun, obviously gets that starting 13, so I prefer Paseka over him if I was to compare the pair. Colquhoun over Paseka. I much prefer Paseka. I just think there's so many options for the Sharks in that forward pack. Who knows how many minutes he gets. When he was starting 13 last year at the back end of the year, he wasn't really playing huge minutes. He was only playing 40 minutes. It's not like he was getting, 50, 60 minutes a lock. Different story, but his price is, he's 300K. So he's definitely going to make money. There's no question there. I just think there's probably more value in Paseka. I think Paseka is going to be a more playable option. I think he's more likely to play bigger minutes. And I think going forward as well, he's obviously got the job security, whereas Colquhoun, once McKinnon comes back in, maybe 7 or 8 weeks, Colquhoun kind of becomes irrelevant. Yes, he would have made you money by then, but it's a trade that you have to make, whereas Paseka, he's someone that you can kind of keep there. He can build into the season and get better as the season goes on, maybe play longer minutes as they build him into the season. So, yeah, I prefer Paseka. I'd prefer to play him over Colquhoun. That's it for the Sharks. For the Titans, Keeney, I think everyone just about has him. He's tremendously underpriced. He's talented. Potentially could goal kick with no Jaden Campbell. So, yeah. Interesting. Farmani, he is the cheapie to watch this week for the Titans. He's on the wing. He's earned that spot. I am getting him, or I have him, and I'm playing him. So I like what I've seen from him with the trials. He looked good. He looked involved. He looks like he gets through his work. He'll make those hit-ups. He's been compared to Brian To'o. I don't know. There could be something there. But, yeah. I've got him, and I think he's out of him, and I forget the Melbourne centre, Moses Leo. I would prefer the Titans guy, but that's just me. Jojo Fifita, Max Feagai, Philip Sammy, AJ Brimson at 6. Probably not. Lachlan Ilias, no. Not with Jaden Campbell. I think Campbell's out for a couple of weeks, so he'll come straight into that number 7 jersey. Fodawaker, Verrills, Tino. I like Tino as an option, but he doesn't probably have the base of some of the other gun front rowers, especially. I know, I had him last year, and he got a lot of 50s. And he had a lot of scores that he was kind of sitting at 40 or 50 and then got lucky, or not got lucky, but, jagged a try or a try assist or some kind of attacking stat, which he's capable of. That's what makes him so good, because he's capable of those attacking stats. But it did save him a lot last year from a few low scores. So I'm not that keen on him for that reason, but I still think he's a great option. I think you can't really go wrong with Tino. Now, the big one here, starting in the second row, is Howe. Arama Howe, I think you say it. So he's won that starting edge role over Josh Paston, who was rumoured to basically have that locked up. He doesn't, and Howe gets it. So Howe is straight into my side. His front row and second row dual, which makes him very, very appealing. Bottom dollar, so he's actually cheaper than Paston, so you're saving money there. And yeah, seems to have won it on merit. So I'm very happy to have him on my side. I think he's the pick of the cheapies this week. To be honest, I think he's one that I don't want to say must have, but yeah, I think you've got to try and find a way to get him in your side if you can. Bo Fermor, I'm not looking at, to be honest. I think, yeah, the thing with Fermor is if there's any injuries to any outside back, he probably shifts to centre. Although with the 6-man bench, maybe not. So, but yeah, I just think for what he's worth, he's very, very pricey. He had a good year last year, as he did the year before, to be honest. But and no dual position hurts. If he was dual second row centre, maybe he'd be a lot more consideration. But yeah, 650k, I'm not overly keen on him. I don't think there's much value there. Chris Randall, no. Cooper Bye, a lot of people looking at coming off the bench. I don't like it. He's coming off the bench. You don't know how many minutes he goes. He might, get a 20-minute roll off the bench. So, yeah, out of the two of Bye and Howe, I much prefer Howe a lot. I don't like Bye at all. He's a very talented player. Don't get me wrong, and he will be a good buy at some point of the year. He will find his way, I'm sure, into the starting role and play huge minutes, and everyone will have to get him in. But to start the season, I don't see the minutes being there, or I don't know if the minutes are there. They could be. He might play 50 minutes off the bench, or he might play 20 minutes. Nobody really knows, and while we don't know, it's probably too much of a risk to have him in your side when you've got Howe in there, which you'd think is going to play big minutes starting. All right, the Sea Eagles and the Raiders. We're getting through it. Almost there. Tom Trbojevic at fullback. Could you do it? Could you do it to yourself? Could you get Tom? I tell you what, I was tempted. I went with Ponga, but I did have a little look at Tom Trbojevic. He's 692k. You don't see Tom Trbojevic in the 600s very often. But again, he was a huge loser from the stats change. He gets so many points from those sweeping plays. But he's the captain this year. I mean, if you're into your narratives, Tom as captain, no Cherry Evans, so he has to take even more of a role. I mean, the signs are there if he can stay healthy, which is a big if for Tom. But if he can, he's someone that, might come out and bust 100 and 100 to start the year, and everyone's trying to get him in round 3. But yeah, obviously there's so many question marks. The main one being his injuries that you're very, like, I think I brought Tom in like 3 or 4 times last year. It was ridiculous, but yeah, I won't start with the year, but I'll be watching him closely. Saab, no. Cooler, Garrick, I don't think so. I don't know. He's playing in the centres. He'll obviously be goal kicking. He could be underpriced. Don't get me wrong. Can I have a look at him? Maybe not. No, never mind. SuperCoach doesn't want me to look at Garrick, so I won't. Probably signs that I need to wrap it up pretty soon. Garrick, Lehigh Hopewade, Luke Brooks, Fogarty, none of them are really too relevant. Paseka, we spoke about him. I think he's a good buy. I think he's going to get the minutes. I think he's obviously got that starting prop role. The bench isn't huge. I can't see huge minutes coming out of the bench of Walsh, Hetherington, Ethan Bullimore, Nathan Brown. None of them are huge minute players. And then you got Falo and Brendan Waken. So, yeah, I can see him playing 55, 60 minutes pretty easily. They don't have a huge forward pack at all. Like, you've got Tahiaho as the other prop. And Jake Trbojevic, who, isn't getting any younger. So, yes, I much prefer Paseka. The more I look at the teams, Paseka easily would be my pick between him and Colholm. Jakey Simpkin could play big minutes too. Again, I can't look at any players, so let me just rattle them off. Simpkin, will play big minutes. I think he's 300 something K. So, Ola Kawatu, I think with no Cherry Evans, I think it's wise to steer clear of him to start the season. We know what he's capable of, but whether that's going to continue or not, who knows, really. But probably doesn't. Ben Trbojevic, Jake Trbojevic, no. Joey Walsh, he is one to look at. Not for now, but I think it's going to be not too long before he comes in place of Luke Brooks. He looked very, very good in the trials. For the Raiders, huge changes there. KO Weeks, Tamale, now Sasangi. Sasangi is the one that I am kind of shocked by, to be honest. Simi Sasangi, obviously, does this change? He obviously will get dual position. But I mean, how long is Timoko going to be out of the side? Like, surely Timoko comes straight back in. I think all of these Raiders players, the ones that are, I guess, the shock selections, I can't see them being long-term selections. I think it's just Ricky doing Ricky things. So it kind of makes them more, I guess, SuperCoach relevant for now. But Sasangi is one because he'll get dual. So at some point, if he can get like the starting edge role, playing in the second row, all of a sudden he might be relevant with that dual position. Seb Chris, no Xavier Savage, Ethan Strange. Not a bad little pod, Ethan Strange. But yeah, look, he's coming off a career year. I don't know how it gets any better for Ethan Strange, to be honest. Ethan Sanders. Now, obviously, a lot of people have him as a cheapie. I've got him. I'm pretty keen on him. I don't think he's going to score a huge amount of points. I guess similar to Pezzett. He'll kind of get that 30 points maybe. But then he's got the goal kicking to really elevate those scores and hopefully get him into the 40s. So I do like Sanders. I liked him all season or pre-season. I preferred him over Atkinson. Atkinson obviously played on the weekend and didn't score great. So hopefully Ethan Sanders can kind of do a little bit more than what he did. Papali'i, Starling, Tarpany is a gun front rower. But he's getting on. I don't know. I wouldn't want to be starting with Tarpany. I don't know how the minutes are going to go. He played huge minutes last year, especially towards the back end of the year. I think at the start of the year, they're not going to need him as much. They'll probably play him a little bit limited minutes and try and get him into the season gently because they know come the back end of the season, they're going to need him playing huge minutes. Hudson Young, coming off again, another career year, could be an option, but again, I'm very wary of players that had really outstanding years last year, whether they can back it up, especially when we haven't seen it before. Like, Hudson Young always had like a couple of good games in him, but he hadn't been that SuperCoach absolute gun that we saw last year. So, I'm reluctant to start with him. He's also super pricey, so I'm happy to wait a few weeks there and see what happens. Noah Martin, now he's come in, he's bottom dollar, he's cheap, but you've got so many edge-back rowers at the Raiders. You've got Hosking that could come into that side. You've got Matty Nicholson, who's playing reserve grade this year, that Ricky's come out and said he wants him to play big minutes in reserve grade before getting him into teams. So you could see easily next week a completely different side that Noah Martin isn't even in the 17 or the 19. So, yeah, I wouldn't be going near him. Corey Horsburgh, not a bad option. I started with him last year, but I wouldn't start with him this year. For the Dolphins and the Rabbitohs. Oh, we're into our final game. Let's go. Thank God. It's been a journey, this one. The Hammer, he's won that fullback spot over Fuller, which is great for Hammer, I guess. Not too great for everyone else that wanted Fuller to be named, and he'd be an absolute must-have. But Isako, not a bad little pod, I guess, but barely scored any tries last year. They just went left all the time. He was catching a cold out on the right. He's got the goal kicking that helps elevate his base, but probably not worth the option. Probably not worth really looking at too hard at. Jake Avarillo, Herbie is the big one. So yeah, I touched on him when I was talking about Eero. Huge price, 800 and something K, massive. Had a massive year last year. Just kept scoring tries. I can't see it happening again, to be honest. Yes, the Dolphins look good. I think as a team, they'll improve. But I can't see Herbie doing what he did again. Maybe he can. Maybe he's just that good. And he probably is, to be honest. Maybe it's hope more than anything. I'm just hoping that he starts slow and I can pick him up 100K cheaper. And it's the hope that kills you sometimes. So maybe it'll kill me. But I just can't justify paying that much for him. I really can't. Like, if you look at the stats, if anything, he's going to improve this year based on the new scoring. He's going to get more try assists. So he's actually underpriced, which is insane to think about. But I can't bring myself to spend that much money. I'd much rather spend that money early on in the season. Again, we spoke about early on in the season, those edges, they're not going to get as many line breaks. They're not going to blow out teams, I don't think, for the first 5 or 6 weeks. So I'm happy to kind of steer clear of those really attacking reliant players. Not that he's attacking reliant. He's got big base. He'll get you 50 points every week in base. But I think the upside won't be what owners are hoping for. Or maybe that's what I'm hoping for. I don't know, but I'm not going him. Cobbo, I quite like Cobbo. Look, doesn't really have the base. He's never had the base. But I guess if you like Herbie and you like the Dolphins' left edge, and that's why you're picking Herbie, then you've got to almost pick Cobbo as well. Like, if you want Herbie, if you're thinking Herbie's going to score a whole heap of tries and you think with these scoring change, he's going to get a whole heap of try assists, well, Cobbo's on the outside of that. He's going to be getting the tries. So I don't know. I feel like if you're big on Herbie, you should also be big on Cobbo. I think Cobbo is, I'd much rather Cobbo for his price in my side than Herbie. I think he's much more of a value option. But again, he doesn't have the base of Herbie. So that's the other thing to consider. He's not going to get you 50 points in base. He'll get you 20. Yeah. Cody Nikorima, Katoa, he's not an option this year. I don't think with those scoring changes, he's a big loser out of that actually. So Tommy Gilbert, Kurt Donahue, Thomas Flegler. I'm pretty keen on Flegler, to be honest. I like him. I just don't like him yet. I will probably have him in my side in round 5, but I want to see the minutes out of him. He hasn't played for 2 years. I can't see them giving him huge minutes early on. I think he probably, starts off playing maybe 40 minutes, but, maybe 5 weeks' time he's playing 55 minutes, and that's when I want him in my side. So there's certainly value to be made. He's mid 300K. I had him in my first draft on my side, but I'm not going to have him now. I prefer Paseka. I probably prefer Flegler over Colquhoun, though. If I had to rank them, I'd have Paseka 1, Flegler 2, and Colquhoun at 3. I think that's how I'd rank those kind of 300K second row options. Morgan Knowles, I won't lie, I haven't. Oh, that's right, I can't look at anything. Nice. I'm sure he's okay. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you about Morgan Knowles. Don't know if he's cheap. Haven't really looked at him. So, Jai Gray at fullback for the Rabbitohs. I like him, actually. I know Mitch was contemplating whether to get him or not. I'm not sure if he has him in his side, but I hope he does because I'm a big fan of Jai Gray. I think he's doing well. He's got really good base. And again, he's just... I think the Rabbitohs are going to be well and truly improved this year. I think there's a lot more points in them than there was last year. All he's got to do is really pass the ball to Latrell, pass the ball to David Fifita, and they can run over 3 blokes and he'll get the try assist for it. So I'm big on the Bunnies this year. I think Jai Gray is going to have a big year. I think he's going to get a fair few try assists. I think he's priced about $550K, and I don't mind it at all. I think he's really underpriced. Latrell, Mitchell, Alex Johnson's there, but I wouldn't go near him. Just has a 0 base. Could score tries, but he's probably one to consider at the end of the season rather than the start of it. Latrell, Mitchell, I didn't have him in my side early on until they changed the scoring system, and it almost made him a must-have. Like him playing at centre, he's going to get a whole heap of try assists, you would think. So that left edge of South is just... I can see huge points coming there. Jack White and Campbell Graham, I do like. He's, I think, just under 500K. He's in the 400 somewhere. I had him in my side for a big part of the preseason. I just don't know. Like, I just don't see. He didn't score. I don't think he scored any tries last year, which is insane. But playing on the wing on the right hand side, I think there's just better options potentially. But if you have him, I don't hate the pick at all. He's got huge base. That's why I want to start with him. He's going to get you 45, 50 points every week. But I don't know how much ball he's going to see on that right-hand side. Is it just going to be all left? In saying that, though, they could just, use him as that point of difference and go right and use the left almost as a decoy. So depends what they're going to do. But I'm not having him for now, but certainly I like the pick. Cody Walker. I have him, and I'm pretty happy with him. I wasn't that keen, but the more I see the Souths play, I only seen him once, but watching them play in that trial, Cody Walker just looked outstanding on that left edge. David, all he's got to do is just give Fifita the ball, and we know what Fifita can do. We know what Latrell Mitchell can do. He doesn't even need to really create stuff. He's just got to give him the ball. He'll get try assists for it. So, I like him. I think he's someone that I can upgrade. Hopefully, after 6 weeks, he'll make 150K, and I can put him up to someone else in that 5'8" position. But I think in the meantime, he's going to make a lot of cash. I hope he's going to make a lot of cash anyway. Ashton Ward has got that number 7 spot. I don't think so. He's still played a fair few games last year, so he's priced pretty much what he can do. Totola, no. Bronson Garlic, he's got that spot for Brendan Smith, which is interesting that Peter Momazoulis, I thought he would have got the starting 9, which to me, this tells me that they want Smith at 9. And they want Peter Momazoulis coming off the bench to play through the middle a lot, as well as a little bit of hooker. I think, or whether they want Brandon Smith to come on and start the game at hooker and then play a bit of lock, and Mamazoulis to play hooker. Whatever the reason is, I think having Garlic starting at the 9 is a good sign for Brandon Smith. Because I think if it was Brandon Smith and Mamazoulis competing for that spot, then they would have just named Mamazoulis at 9. Whereas I think it's going to make that transition easier when Smith comes back. Garlic will just go straight out of the side and Mamazoulis stays on the bench. Because I don't think Garlic was getting a bench spot with Smith starting in the trial. So that's how I look at it. So I'm tempted just to hold Smith. I think he's going to be out for another 2-3 weeks. But I quite like Brandon Smith. I think he's going to get decent minutes. I think he could be almost a playable option. So there's no one jumping out on that cheap hooker. Yes, if you can get up next week to someone like a Marnie, maybe. or a Haywood for 300 something K, 350K. But I'm happy to just stick with Brandon Smith and just have, I've got Harry Grant who doesn't have a bye until like round 15, so I don't need to play my second hooker at all. So I might just leave him there for now. Keon Koloamatangi, I think he's a great option. Whether he gets the minutes, that's the thing with me that I'm worried about. He played huge minutes, played a couple of 80-minute games at prop last year. He started the season at lock or on the edge, and then played through the middle about halfway through the season, starting in prop. Huge minutes. Obviously, South were just absolutely capitulating with injuries. They've got their forwards back now. When you look at their bench, Cam Murray's back, for instance. You've got Tallis Duncan, Hubner, who can play in the middle, Kepi. So they've got those players back. He's going to play big minutes. He's going to score well, but I don't think he's value. I don't think he's going to score 70 to 80 minutes worth of points. I think he might score he might get maybe 60 minutes and score 65 points. It'd still be a great solid option. And there's maybe a little bit of value there, but I don't think it's that huge value that people are expecting. When you're just looking at the raw data and comparing his scores on the edge to his scores in the middle, I don't think those scores in the middle or those minutes that he played in the middle are going to continue this year. Nothing's been confirmed. Obviously, I'm just going off what I think, looking at the team list and looking at how many injuries they had out last year, for the amount of minutes he needed to play. I don't think they need that from him this year. On the flip side, though, he's going to the Dragons next year. Wayne doesn't care about preserving him. He's not looking 3 years down to the track and trying to make sure, he gets the most out of his contract. He's looking at this year and this year alone. So maybe he does just run him into the ground and, leave him busted at the end of the year. I don't know. David Fifita, I think he's a must-have. He's just, he looked very, very good. We know what he can do at his best. He's a 800K player. He's, could finish the year as, the highest scoring SuperCoach player. He's got that ability. So to get him for 400 something K is unbelievable value. You and A can know. Cameron Murray, I'm off him, to be honest. I just don't think he gets the minutes. When he played and he was a SuperCoach gun, and I use the term gun loosely, to be honest, he was only averaging about 65, which is still great value for what he's priced at the moment, but that was playing huge 80 minutes. I can't see him playing 80 minutes. You've got Tallis Duncan on the bench, as we spoke about, with all the reason that Koloamatangi won't play huge minutes. I think the same for Cameron Murray. So, especially coming back from a Achilles, I think it was, so a big injury. He's not going to want to play huge minutes, and he's someone that Wayne Bennett won't want to run into the ground from the get go. So he's going to be eased back into it. He's not going to play 80 minutes every week. He's going to play, maybe 65, and I can see him being a 55 to 60, probably more likely a 60-point player, which I'm not that keen on. There's not that much value to kind of make it worthwhile. Anyway, that is all. That is the team lists. So I've got the great Makasina as the captain. Makasini, my bad, as the captain this week. So hopefully he's in for a big game. And obviously I'll get Ponga's vice captain score, so that's exciting. If you haven't done the vice captain thing as well, I'll quickly touch on that. So he scored 116, Kalen Ponga, and basically I'll get that score doubled because I vice captained him, because I put Makasini on my field and I put the captaincy on him. He's not playing, so therefore I get the vice captain score. Now I've had a couple of people who had Karaz as vice captain that messaged me, or Lukey that messaged me and said, would you loop a 90 something? I wouldn't personally. I like 120. 120 is kind of my number that I would loop. Anything between kind of maybe like 110 to 120, even 100 to 120. That's kind of like I consider. This week I have, because it's round one and there's so much unknown, I was going to captain Haas, who I think will score maybe 70 to 80 points. So there's points there. but you do get your auto emergency. So I'll get my lowest scoring player, who at the moment is Tom Chester. It won't stay that way. Let's say Sanders comes out and gets 20. I'll get his 20 points. So that's something to consider as well. So it's not just like you guaranteed that score and you don't lose anything out of it. You do lose something because you've got to get rid of a player and you've got to get your lowest scoring player. Hopefully that makes sense. If not, shoot me a message. I'll try and explain it a little bit better. But yes, that's all. Join the league. Not that one. Join this league. 630796. See if you can take the jersey off me because I've got my hands on it at the moment. 81 people in the moment. We'll try and get that up to 100. That'd be nice. 100 people in the comp. That would be the goal. So that's what we're working towards. As I said, the cheapies, I'd probably rank Howe probably as number one. If you're looking at the best cheapie options as Howe, there's Farmani I'd probably have as number two, and then I'd probably have the Melbourne centre. I keep forgetting his name. Moses someone, isn't it? Moses Leo. So I'd probably him as three, as probably my top three. I don't like by that much. They're my top three cheapies for this week. That is all, I guess. Mitch should be back next week, hopefully, because it's a bit awkward here by myself. I don't know what to do. He kind of holds the show together, so I'm a bit clueless out here. But hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you stayed with me. I know it was a tough grind, but look, I wanted to basically bring through every player possible, every SuperCoach relevant player, so you guys had all the options at your disposal to make your decisions and build the best team that you possibly can. So obviously you can build your team, change your teams as many times as you like up until those players play. So you've still got a bit of time to go. Keep an eye on those 24-hour and those 1 hour. I think it's 90 minutes this year, 90 minutes before kickoff. Teams do change. So have a look at your team list, get your NRL app and have a look, because sometimes the coaches, they'll be sneaky and they'll change the players around and they won't be as they've named it on the team list Tuesday. So just keep an eye on that, because that can really make or break your season if you're late on one of them and you miss out and you've got a player in your team that's no longer playing or being moved to the bench, or something's happened. So especially the Ricky Stewart's he'll do it all the time for fun. So keep an eye on the Raiders team list especially. But yeah, that's it. Join our league. Give us a like, a follow, a subscribe. Comment any question you've got up until your players play. I'll answer them. I'll be checking the socials. I'll be checking the Facebook and the YouTube comments. So if you've got any comments, leave them down below. I'll get to you. I'll answer them. And thanks for watching. See you next week. Go the Eels.